Hey everybody, it's Strict9 with Strict9 GP, and welcome to another episode of my Out of the Park Baseball 19 GM Challenge with the Reds. This should be episode 12. We finished the spring training in the last episode, and I went ahead and made the roster moves that I needed to make to get us down to the active 25-man roster. We'll take a look at that before we get started in the season, but if you didn't get a chance to watch the last episode, we had a pretty rough spring training. We finished 11-17. I think we lost maybe 5 or 6 in a row down the stretch. Not too concerned with that, as always. Just wanted to get a chance to take a look at some of the rookies and some of the guys I hadn't seen before, and wasn't really concerned at all with the record. Just wanted to get my starting rotation in shape and figure out a few roster spots I wanted to stick with going into the regular season. But another thing I wanted to do before we get started is take a look at the preseason predictions. As far as the rest of the leagues go, this will be the 2019 season. They're giving the Yankees and Red Sox the nod in the American League East, with Tampa Bay playing pretty strong, and in this prediction actually making that second wild card spot. And they've got Cleveland winning in the Central, and Kansas City struggling there. They're really, I would say right now, in the middle of a rebuild process on that team. And then they've got Houston winning pretty easily in the West, with a couple teams there at the bottom, which I kind of dispute a little bit, because I think Seattle and Oakland are two teams on the move there. As far as individual performances, they really like Joey Gallo at Texas. 59 home runs predicted for the season. And then Bryce Harper's going to be at Texas now. They've got him having a great year. They got Trout having a great year. And then Aaron Judge, some names you'd expect. And then for pitching, nothing stands out too much. They got Price having a good year, 17 wins. A lot of Boston pitchers are showing up. Keuchel, who Boston signed from Houston in free agency. Chris Sale. Boston's going to be a tough team to beat, I would think, with that team that they have. And then in the National League, you got the Mets really having a strong season over the Braves, but the Braves looks like they might make the wild card in this prediction. Philadelphia, they've got finishing below 500 again. I'm hoping that they have a little bit better season than that. And the Central, it's Chicago with St. Louis competing for the wild card. And then they got the Reds at 78 and 84. So I think we're going to take a big step back after last year when we won 87 and made the playoffs. And then they have the Dodgers having another strong year at 103 wins. Even though the Dodgers in this playthrough, they've lost Clayton Kershaw, who went to the Mets in free agency. In terms of individual performances, we don't have anybody showing up on the batting side. They have Bellinger having another good year. He was the MVP last year in the league. Seager having a good solid year. Peterson, they like him in this playthrough. He's playing more and set to have a pretty good year again for 2019. And then pitching, we do have someone show up. They think that Cole Hamels is going to have a good year for us, and I'm hoping that comes true. Solid year based on these numbers. If he has these numbers, I'll be more than happy. 14 wins, a 2.99 ERA. I'm hoping that turns out to be the case. And then for the rest of the league, they've got those Mets pitching. Zach Wheeler, starting pitching. He looks good. DeGrom, Syndergaard, and then Kershaw. So the Mets, even though they got the Dodgers with a better record, I think the Mets are going to be tough to beat this year. One other thing too, I wanted to check. I always like looking at the minor league system rankings going into the year, see how we stack up. And right now we're just above midway, or the middle of the pack. We're ranked 13th. We've got Hunter Green, who's going to start out at Daytona, I think Daytona this year. Shortstop Jose Garcia, who was a guy that I didn't draft. I think I don't know if he signed a minor league contract. I'm not sure where he came from, to be honest with you. But The OSA scouting system like him quite a bit. He's got some really good upside there. And then rounding out the rest, I've got Jeter Downs, who is going to be still at Billings this year. Man, he might be. I'm going to let him stay there for a little bit because my scout's got his ratings pretty low. I don't think he's really ready to move up. Let's see what they say here. Yeah, I don't think he's quite there yet. But he's on that top 100 list, as is Taylor Trammell, who's the lowest rated prospect from OSA, but in terms of the top 100 that I have. But my scout likes this guy a lot. He's going to start out at Pensacola. I hope if he gets a full season there, I hope that he develops a little bit more, and I hope he's ready to go in maybe a year or two. At least maybe next spring training he'll be ready to take a look in spring training and give him some at-bats. So looking at the roster moves that we made, the pitching staff is finalized now. We got Waka, Castillo, Hamels, Molly, Gesellman, who we picked up through trade. It might be a controversial trade, but we traded away Scooter Gennett. His salary was getting up there, and he was getting close to free agency, so I wanted to get something for him before I had to let him go. And then the rest of the bullpen is similar to what it was last year. I don't think there's any new players in that bullpen. And then for the lineups, Barnhart at catcher, Votto first, Shedrick Long. One of the reasons that I traded Gennett is in spring training, Girardi went with Shedrick Long starting pretty much most of the games, so I'm going to give him a chance. He's a switch hitter. His ratings have the potential to be fairly solid against both sides, and good defender, decent speed. I'm hoping that he develops. I expect there'll be some rocky times this year, but I'm gonna stick with him as long as I can. Then Senzel at third. Hope he stays healthy this year. He's already up to 3.5 stars overall. Great solid ratings for him. Winker in left field. He was second runner-up in the Rookie of the Year voting last year, and then I skipped over Peraza, but he's going to stay at short. Then Hamilton's going to be in the center, and then Schebler will be in right. I'm hoping he stays healthy too. We lost him down the stretch, which probably hurt us. Losing Senzel and Schebler late in the season really hurt our chances. And then Profar will be coming off the bench primarily as a infielder with Dilson Herrera. And then Para, who I picked up in the offseason, he's going to get some platoon time, and probably he's going to start a little bit at right against right-handed pitchers, against lefties, same way. But then, yeah, I don't know if he's going to get much play time, but he is going to be, I think, a good option to have off the bench. So that's the way we're looking starting the season. The one last thing, the disabled list. We did lose Lance Lim. We lost him in spring training, so he's going to be gone probably until, what is that, July, maybe September, or August, excuse me. He might be ready to come back up. I'm hoping that he stays healthy after that, and I can get, I've only got him signed for a couple years, but I hope I get some play from him in that contract. If he comes back, I think pitching, I don't know how Girardi will set it up, but he may replace Gesellman in the rotation, and he'll move over to long relief or middle relief. But that's the way it's going to start out. I'm going to go ahead and might sim through the first month of the season here and see how we start out. We're going to start out at Chicago, so it's a pretty tough way to start the season, but I'm ready for it. Let's go ahead and get started. Oh, I gotta finish. Let me do the 40 man here. I should have a little bit of room on that 40 man. So Para, got to put him on the 40, and then let's see if that's all I need. Yep. So we won the first game. lost the second game. So, looking at the news here, and Houston signed a reliever who was coming over from the international. Looks like he comes from Japan. 5-star reliever, and they got him cheap. I might have should have looked at that, but his personality ratings were outspoken, and it looked like he might have been a distraction in the clubhouse. But they got him for a good price if they can manage to weather any team chemistry problems that he might have. So another bullpen guy here. I'm sure there's probably some bullpen players left, but I'm pretty set with what I have. One thing I did want to do, and I forgot to do that though, is I forgot to check the waiver wire just to see what's out there. And already, man, Willie Calhoun. Defensively, he's not that solid, but I think I took a look at this guy during the Rule 5 draft maybe. He's got some great individual ratings from my scout. He's a prankster, so he probably wouldn't hurt. I wonder if, let's see what the ratings are on him. He's pretty good against lefties and righties. I can't believe he's still out there. He had a great year at Round Rock, and he started out this year, 3 games with Texas. He's already doing really good. I don't know why they would want to get rid of him, but see what else is on that waiver wire. Now, Baltimore's put a claim in for him. They'll probably get him, but we're 1-2 as well, so we lost. That was Chicago White Sox, by the way, that we started out with, not against the Cubs. I'm going to go back. I'm going to, well, hit the wrong button there. I'm going to make a claim on that guy because I think we could really stand to replace Stevenson with him if it came down to it. So we'll see. We'll see if we get it. But looking at the series against the White Sox, we started out really strong in that first game. Hamilton had a good game. Sincel, who he's got batting second, looked good. Shedrick Long was really good. 2 for 5, drove in 4 with a home run. Man, the offense just looked really good. Walker pitched a solid game. Game 2 went to extra innings. Some okay performances here and there. But Castillo was okay, 5 innings, 3 runs. Looked like the bullpen lost it there at extra innings, but they held Chicago scoreless until late. And then we lost 4-7. Senzel had a pretty good game. Long hitless, so after that first game, he's had a couple rough games in a row. And then Hamels was really knocked around, 7 runs and 4 1/3. But we started off the first half week there 1-2, and we're going to go up against Cleveland and then Chicago for a 4-game series. So let's see what this week brings us. So we're 3-2. We won two of those games against Cleveland, and end the week off pretty strong. We're 5-4 now, and let's take a look at the news. Daniel Hudson is somebody that I'd also looked at, and I tried to sign him, but his salary demands kept going up and up, and $4.5 million was a little bit more than I wanted to pay for him. Benintendi and Severino out, so and Michael Pineda traded away from the Yankees to the Twins for a first baseman and a center field prospect. And Chad Green injured, but just for 2 days. And Ben Zobrist is retiring. And then the player of the week, Odor in Texas, looks like he had a great start. And Jay Bruce and the Mets having a great start. Martin Perez is going to be gone now for St. Louis for the year. And first weekly team power rankings, we are at 11th. So not bad. We're 5-4. Let's see how the week went. got some great offense against Cleveland. Won the first game of a 2-game series, 11-3. Votto a good game. Schebler had a great game, 3 for 5, drove in 4. Winker looking good. Peraza. Shedrick Long is struggling a little bit so far, it looks like. Tyler Mahle had a solid game, his first start of the year. And then we won 14-4 in the second game. Hamilton, Senzel, Schebler, another solid game. Barnhart looking good, Profar. And then Michael Wacha picked up his second win of the year. Didn't look as sharp this game, but it's already 2-0. And then we lost the first game against the Cubs 2-3. Not a bad game from Gesellman. 6 innings, 3 earned runs, 7 strikeouts, and the bullpen's looking really good so far this year. And then we won 6-3. Senzel, solid, 3 for 5, drove into. Long had a hit and scored a run, drove in a run. Castillo picked up his first win of the year, 5 1/3, only 2 earned runs, 6 strikeouts. Then we lost 1-6, and not much going on in offense. And then Hamels, another bad outing from him, 4 innings, 10 hits, 6 runs. So a little bit scary so far what I'm seeing from Hamels. Lorenzen, though, has looked really good out of the pen. And then we won the last game of that 4-game series to split it 4-1. Senzel, another solid game. So what's his pace like? 36 home runs, 234 hits. Off to a really good start. And who was playing second? He had Herrera in at second. Barnhart's looking good too as well, starting off the year. But Mahle picked up his second win, looked really good in this one. Green got the save. And looking at the standings right now, we are 5-4, 2.5 back of the Cardinals, who are off to a good start. I'm going to check out that waiver wire. We probably, man, it looks like we didn't get a chance to close out that deal, and there's not much showing up today. So the week, we're going to be at Pittsburgh and then at Atlanta. So another tough week coming up. And won the first game with Pittsburgh, won the second game, and now Hamels is going to be out for a couple weeks. Not a good start for Hamels. He's already lost his first 3 starts. I'm going to have to move him to the disabled list. So that means, as luck would have it, the 2 pitchers that I signed and were betting on are already on the DL. See what the news brings us. Aaron Nola looks like he's going to be gone for 3 months for Philadelphia. That's a tough one. Before I adjust the roster, I want to see what we did. I mean, we won the first 2 games against Pittsburgh on the road. Wacha picked up his 3rd win. He's looking really good this year. Then we won 6-4. Some good offense from Senzel, Votto. Long has got his batting average back up to 200. And Gesellman picked up a win. And Green got his 3rd save. And then we lost 2-3. Winker, a great game, 4 for 4. He's batting .354 right now. Castillo pitched 8 innings. Just gave up 2 runs. A good game from him, but didn't have the offense in this one. And then we lost this last game 3-5. Long was 2 for 5. Good game from him. I'm hoping that experiment plays out here okay. But Hamels was gone after 2 innings. Lorenzen got rocked again too. But bullpen so far has looked pretty good through these first 13 games. Looking at statistics here, pitching earned run average were first overall, first in bullpen ERA, and runs allowed first, second. So we have definitely started out with the improvement in the pitching that I needed to see. But now I got to decide who's gonna fill in for Hamels, and I think it's going to have to be Romano here. He's a 2.5 star overall. I think Girardi will put him in the rotation, and he does. He moves Gesellman up and puts Romano in that 5th spot. So let's go ahead and finish out the series with Atlanta. And we won the last game to stay above 500, but it was iffy. So looking at the news here, Blake Swihart, he must be getting some good play time for the Phillies. So, American League Player of the Week was Carlos Correa at Houston. National League was Brandon Belt, who's off to a great start. And power rankings were still 11th, so we haven't lost anything there. I'm going to take a look. I usually do this every Monday in my playthroughs. I'm going to take a look at the waiver wire, see if there's anybody here who looks interesting. This guy's got some good stuff, but that control scares me quite a bit. And then Drew Smiley, no movement. It's really bad. He could be a starter if I needed him to, but I think he's going to give up a lot of home runs. So let's see how the series against Atlanta went. Now Atlanta's the team that knocked us out of the. No, we won it against Atlanta. I'm confusing this playthrough with the Phillies playthrough I got. So after the Hamels injury in that first game, we lost the second one 5-6. Hamilton's struggling a little bit now. He's at 224. Votto looking good. Senzel, his average is down to 279. Shedrick Long had a good game. He was 2 for 5, looks like. 3 for 5, sorry. And Barnhart off to a great start. I don't think he's going to keep that up, but man, he's looking good. I mean, he's primarily in there for his defense. Molly pitched a great game again, but couldn't get the win. He's got 2 wins already on a great pace. I hope he keeps developing. Green lost it though in the 9th. And then the last game we won 6-1, really solid. Winker had a great game. He's batting .344 now. Solid line all the way across. Senzel did have a good game in this one. 3 for 5, drove in 2, scored 2. And then Waka picked up his 4th win. He's gonna give me something to think about at the end of the year if he keeps this up. I don't know that I'll be able to re-sign him for what he's wanting. Let me see what he would even look at now. Yeah, he's at $20 million. And he's won 9 years. I mean, I think there could be some option years in there, but 9 years at $20 million, I just don't see that happening. So we'll have to look at how we're doing around the trading deadline. He might be somebody I have to look at trading because he's more than likely going to be probably have more value than any player on the team right now as far as trade goes. So let's play out another week. We're going to be versus Los Angeles at home and then at Philadelphia. So 7 games coming up, pretty long stretch. And we won first game, second game we won, lost the third. Won first game at Philly, second game at Philly, third game at Philly. And we almost swept Philly, but we lost 2-10 at that final game. So our record's now 13-9. Let me take a look at the news here. Oh, Alex Verdugo causing some problems there in the Dodgers. And the closer that, well, I don't know if they're going to use him as a closer, but the guy that Houston picked up in the offseason, he's already down. Odor has a 20-game hit streak. And then now Cole Hamels' recovery unclear. Not a good thing. Chris Davis was the player of the week in the American League. And then, wow, Suarez, player of the week in the National League, and he is off to a very good start. Still glad that I made that trade. I think it basically was something I needed to do, but he's having a good start to his year so far. And then we moved up to 7th in the weekly power rankings. You look at the waiver wire first, nothing really to look at there, but look at the standings. We have won 6 of 4. We're just a half game back of the Cardinals now. We would be leading the wild card if season ended right now. San Francisco's off to a great start. They're 3 up on the Dodgers early, and then the Braves are up really. They're doing good, and the Mets aren't playing as good as they were predicted to play. I wonder if they have any injuries here. Jay Bruce is down a couple weeks. That might be hurting him a little bit. And then in the American League, Yankees and Boston playing really good. It looks like the half game separating both of them. Kansas City off to a good start, 12-10, 1.5 games over Minnesota. Detroit struggling early, and then Houston and Oakland. That's kind of I'm expecting Oakland to have a pretty good team, and they're just a game back right now. Look at how we went out this week. The first game 3-2 in extra innings. Votto another good sharp game. Senzel looking good. Sal Romano gave us 6 solid innings, so he's a good guy to have when we need it, but he was injured right away, just a day-to-day injury. And then the second game we won 3-2, so the pitching is doing really well so far. Shedrick Long was 2 for 4, hit his second home run, so he's showing some power early. He's that's considering he's never played above AAA, that's a pretty good start for him. And then pitching-wise, Gesellman looked pretty good, just couldn't go long enough to get the win. Green picked up his second. And then the final game, we lost 8-10 in extra innings. Schebler had a good game. He struggled with average this year so far. Profar, pretty good game playing shortstop. And Castillo pitched another okay game, but it was the bullpen that lost it for us on this one. Mainly Herget. Gosh, he's struggling. And he's rated, if you look at his individual ratings, he's rated about as strong as any pitcher I have in that bullpen. So moving on to the Phillies, we won the first game 5-2. It's like Schebler had a good game again. Parra came in with a big hit off the bench, and Molly picked up his third win, 6 strong innings, 7 strikeouts. He's really showing the power. 214 strikeouts is what he's on pace for. 22 wins. He's looking really good. Then we won 12-8. Hamilton, a pretty good game. Votto, 3 for 4, drove in a run, scored 3. He's having a great start so far. Schebler looked good. Winker, another good game from him. Long had 4 RBIs in the game. And then Waka pitched long enough, didn't have a sharp game. He was 4 earned runs in 5 innings, but he got his 5th win. And Green picked up his 4th save. So Waka is on pace for 36 starts and 36 wins. Man, he might be a potential 20-game winner if he keeps it up. I'm not sure about 36. And then the third game, we won 5-4. Schebler, a monster game, 5 RBIs. He's on pace for 52 home runs, 199 RBIs. Cedric Long had another good hit. He's averaged up to 254. Romano didn't go the distance here to get the win, but Green picked up his 5th save, so he's on pace for 37. And then the last game, we got hammered pretty hard, 2-10. Not much to speak of offensively, and then Selman looked really bad in that game. 3 innings, 7 runs. So I'm going to go ahead and sum out one more week to get us into May, and we'll see how the first month looks for us. So we're 14-9, 15-9, 16-9, 16-10, 16-11. So we're 16-12. 1.5 games back of St. Louis. Looks like we stumbled there against Milwaukee. So had a good series against the White Sox, swept them, but then lost all 3 games to Milwaukee. Let me go ahead and look at the news reports here. See if there's anything standing out. Okay, so April's best hitter for the American League was Derek Fisher for Houston. He had a great rookie year last year, and he's looking good again this year, off to a great pace. And then Marcell Ozuna for the Cardinals is batter of the month for the National League. And then American League, Chris Archer was the pitcher of the month. He's off to a solid start, 4-1, a 1.08 ERA. And then, hey, Michael Wacha, he was the pitcher of the month for the National League. 6 wins now, but he had 5 wins, 5-0 in April. And then for rookies, it was Arenas in Kansas City. He's off to a good start, but looks like this is somebody they picked up from Cuba on the international free agent market. And then rookie of the month, Verdugo for the Dodgers. in the National League. Let's see. So Sonny Gray out for 5 weeks or John Gray, sorry, not Sonny Gray, for the Rockies. And New York picked up Strop, was another guy that we were trying to go for. And how about this? The Phillies traded Cesar Hernandez to Washington for Joe Ross. It's an interesting trade. And the draft day's coming up. Player of the week, Max Kepler for the Twins in the American League. Kyle Schwarber, he's off to a real good start. Hitting .442, but in limited play. So the weekly power rankings, we are at 8th. So that's a good way to start the year off. The series against the White Sox, Schebler's still playing good. Votto's average up to 350. Castillo picked up his second win, looks sharp. Green is 6th save. Then we won 7-4 in extra innings. Votto, another great game. Schebler, 32 RBIs. Wow, I don't know if he can keep that pace up, but he was looking good last year when he got injured. I mean, he had over 100 RBIs, and he missed the last 25 games of the year. So Molly didn't pick up the win, but he looked good. The bullpen was up and down. Lorenzen's overall has started out really good, but he's starting to show some trouble here. And then we won the last one 9-5. Hamilton really struggling at the top of the lineup. Senzel, he's been up and down, but I think at the end of the year he'll probably get everything righted. Long, though, he's on pace for 35 home runs. His average is up to 270 right now. He was definitely, I think, ready to go. Barnhart's still having a great year. This was Waka. His 6th win, 2 earned runs in 5, 6 strikeouts, I didn't expect him to start out that hot. And then Milwaukee really handled us pretty easily. We lost that first one 4-5. Herrera looked good in place of Long at second. Romano, not that sharp, 4 innings. And then second game we lost 2-7. Hamilton's struggles continue. He's batting 190. Selman, again, another bad outing. 6 walks in 4 innings. Might have to think about when Lynn does become available. I might have to think about, or even really when Hamels comes off, I might have to move him either to the bullpen and put Romano in that 5th spot. Of course, that'll be up to Girardi in terms of how he fills out the rotation. But then the last game we lost 7-10. Long had a great game, but it looks like Hamilton finally got a hit. A few guys got some hits there that they needed, but Castillo, not too sharp, 5 2/3, gave up 4 earned runs, but Lorenzen, he lost it, and Peralta blew the save. So now looking at how we're looking offensively, this is a pretty good balance. If it stayed like this the rest of the year, I'd be pretty happy. But you can see we're in top 5, first in walks, second in runs scored. So we're top 5 in almost every offensive category except home runs, and we're 6th. And then we're top 5 in several categories. Pitching and defensive efficiency is really good at second. So we're off to a good start. 14-9 in April. May we had that tough series against Milwaukee, but now we're going to take on New York and then at St. Louis. So that's another tough week coming up. The Mets, they're still struggling in the East, but it looks like the Braves are having a great season. Philadelphia is not 500. And it's Cardinals and us in the Central right now. And then San Francisco still playing strong. They're 4 up over the Dodgers. But right now we would be in line for the wild card if the season ended today. That would be really a successful season. I still think we're going to have a hard time repeating what we did last year. So if we made the wild card again, I'd be really happy with that. And now the Yankees and Red Sox just playing really, really tough. Minnesota still leading in the Central. They actually overtook Kansas City. And then Houston and Oakland, they're going to be tough in the West. Aaron Judge off to a good start, 11 home runs, on pace for 61, but his average is really really way down. Machado, who signed with the Angels, kind of a weird start for him. Just 17 RBIs with 10 home runs. And then pitching wise, it looks like nobody is having the year that Waka is in terms of wins. Arrieta's looking good for Philadelphia. He had a shaky year for him last year, so he's off to a great start for them. And then looks like Schebler's leading the league in RBIs, tied for second in home runs. Acuna's having just a great start for Atlanta, off to some really good numbers, or on pace for some really good numbers. But I wanted to get through this first month, and we'll probably sim ahead. I might either pick it up after the draft, or we might even go close to the All-Star break offline. And the goal is to hopefully repeat and get a little further than we did last year. But I think it's going to be touch and go. I think we've got a lot of guys here who need to develop, and we really need to get Hamels back off the DL, and he needs to come off the DL and pitch well for me. That's going to be a big question mark now for the rest of the year. But as always, thanks for watching. I appreciate the subscribes and the comments and the likes when you leave them. I hope you're going to stay with me in this series. Goal is to eventually get to the World Series and win it. That's always the goal of any playthrough that I do. So I feel like we've had a good start. I think it's possible to take the Reds all the way. It just might take a few years, but it's not. I don't think it's going to be impossible. But as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next episode.